February 28, 1997, North Hollywood, Los Angeles. Live television captures something America never expected to witness. Police officers forced to retreat under a relentless storm of rifle fire as two heavily armed bank robbers stride through suburban streets like soldiers on a battlefield. For the next 44 minutes, an ordinary neighborhood transforms into a war zone. Hundreds of rounds tear through cars, storefronts, homes, and sidewalks as terrified civilians scramble for cover. Millions watch in disbelief as heavily armed suspects overpower responding officers with superior firepower. By the time the gunfire finally falls silent, the North Hollywood Shootout will have forever changed American policing, reshaping tactics, patrol equipment, officer training, and the way law enforcement prepares for heavily armed criminals. At 9:17 a.m., Larry Phillips Jr. and Emil Mutasaranno walked into a Bank of America branch in North Hollywood. Around them, the morning unfolded like any other. Commuters hurried to work. Parents dropped their children off at school. Businesses were opening their doors for another ordinary Friday. No one could have imagined that the next 44 minutes would become one of the most studied police shootouts in American history. At the time, investigators knew the pair only by the nickname high-incident bandits, unidentified suspects linked to a string of carefully planned armored robberies who had repeatedly slipped away before police could identify or capture them.
Phillips and Mutasaranno first met at a gym in Venice, California, where they bonded over bodybuilding and a shared fascination with firearms. Over the following years, they earned a reputation among investigators as disciplined and cautious bank robbers. They carefully planned each robbery for mornings immediately after cash deliveries, then disappeared before responding officers could reach the scene. For Phillips and Mutasaranno, this wasn't a desperate gamble. It was another carefully rehearsed operation. Over the years, they had illegally modified rifles, acquired military-style body armor, and assembled an arsenal far beyond what most patrol officers were equipped to confront. Every previous robbery had gone according to plan. They had every reason to believe this one would be no different.
On the morning of the robbery, they synchronized their watches and took muscle relaxants to calm their nerves before walking into the bank. Then, everything began to unravel. While the robbery was still underway, a bystander noticed the suspicious vehicle outside the bank and alerted police. As officers responded, they believed they were heading to a routine bank robbery. By the time Phillips and Mutasaranno exited the bank with the stolen cash, LAPD patrol units were already converging on the scene. Unaware, they were about to confront two heavily armed suspects with firepower far beyond what most patrol officers were equipped to face. The robbery was over. The escape had begun. Then, the first shots rang out. The first exchange of gunfire immediately revealed the reality officers feared. Their standard sidearms were hopelessly outmatched. Rounds struck Phillips' body armor with little apparent effect. Windshields exploded into clouds of shattered glass, and patrol cars offered far less protection than officers had ever expected. Radio transmissions grew increasingly desperate as officers called for rifles, SWAT units, and medical assistance. For the next 44 minutes, Phillips and Mutasaranno moved through the streets as one of the longest and most intense police shootouts in modern American history unfolded. Their rifles repeatedly penetrated vehicles, walls, and other forms of cover that responding officers had relied upon. Desperate for greater firepower, several officers obtained rifles from a nearby gun store with the owner's permission, hoping to match the suspect's superior range and firepower. Eventually, Phillips' rifle malfunctioned. For the first time since the shooting began, the balance shifted. Surrounded with few remaining options, he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Mutasaranno attempted to flee by taking a nearby vehicle, but the driver removed the keys before he could escape. He was later struck by police gunfire and died from blood loss before receiving hospital treatment. By the time the shooting ended, more than 2,000 rounds had been fired. 12 police officers and 8 civilians had been injured. Remarkably, despite the intensity of the battle, no officers or bystanders lost their lives. The North Hollywood Shootout permanently changed American policing, leading departments across the country to adopt patrol rifles, improve body armor, and expand training for responding to heavily armed suspects. The North Hollywood Shootout accelerated LAPD's adoption of patrol rifles, a decision that was soon echoed by police departments across the United States. The battle fundamentally changed how American law enforcement prepared for heavily armed suspects, reshaping patrol equipment, tactical training, and emergency response for decades to come. In recognition of their courage under extraordinary
extraordinary circumstances, 19 officers were awarded the Medal of Valor and later met with President Bill Clinton. Their actions on February 28, 1997, helped bring one of the most extraordinary gun battles in American policing to an end and forever changed the future of law enforcement.
For 44 minutes, an ordinary Los Angeles neighborhood became a battlefield. Nearly 3 decades later, the lessons learned there still shape how American police prepare for the unthinkable. Some battles end when the shooting stops. This one didn't.